Some battles are so surprising that they change the way wars are fought forever, and Operation Iron Shield became one of those battles. It started on a very hot morning in a huge desert. The sand stretched far in every direction, and heat waves rose from the ground. Captain Rylan Cade, the leader of a small tank battalion, stood inside his armoured vehicle looking at the horizon. His team had only 28 old tanks. The enemy coming toward them had more than 200 new and powerful tanks. Everyone knew the numbers didn't make sense, but Rylan also knew they could not run. They had to fight smart. Inside a dusty tent, officers gathered around a map. People argued, worried, and talked about retreating. The radios buzzed with bad news every few minutes. Rylan finally stood up and said, "We can't win by firepower, we win by using the desert." The room went quiet. He explained a plan using fake heat signals, hidden positions, and high ground traps. It sounded risky, maybe even crazy, but everyone realized it was their only chance. Slowly, they agreed. Operation Iron Shield had officially begun. When night came, the desert turned cold and silent. Tank crews quietly placed metal sheets and heat devices on empty sand dunes. From the sky, these looked like real tanks. Meanwhile, the real tanks stayed hidden behind rocky hills and ridges with their engines off. Soldiers whispered as they loaded shells and checked their armor. The night sky was peaceful, but inside, everyone felt the pressure of what was coming. Early the next morning, the ground began to shake. The enemy army was moving in. Hundreds of tanks rolled forward, making loud rumbling sounds. Dust clouds rose behind them, blocking the sky. Enemy drones scanned the desert and spotted the fake heat signatures. Believing those were real tanks, they aimed most of their weapons at the decoys. Rylan watched through binoculars and quietly said, "Good, keep going." His trap was working perfectly. The enemy fired at the decoys, causing huge explosions across the dunes. Sand flew everywhere, and the enemy wasted shell after shell. Their formation stretched too far as they focused on the fake targets. This is exactly what Rylan wanted. When the enemy tanks were out of position and confused, Rylan gave the order, "Iron Shield, move." Hidden engines started. The real tanks roared to life. They climbed the ridges and appeared suddenly on high ground. The enemy never expected tanks above them. Rylan's group opened fire. The first blasts lit up the morning. Enemy tanks were hit from the sides and from above, the weakest parts of their armor. They tried to aim back, but the sudden angle made it difficult. More tanks exploded, turning into clouds of smoke. The enemy panicked. They tried to move back into formation, but the desert trapped them. Their heavier tanks sank into soft sand, their wheels spinning helplessly. Others turned toward the high ground, but were struck again by Rylan's fast-moving units. The battlefield filled with smoke, fire, and loud crashes. Soldiers shouted over radios, trying to reorganize, but Iron Shield kept pushing forward. To make things worse for the enemy, Rylan had prepared another trick. His engineers had hidden metal strips under the sand in a specific area. When enemy tanks rolled over them, their sensors glitched. Their aiming systems misfired, shooting in the wrong directions. The enemy became even more confused, firing wildly or not firing at all. The battle got louder and more chaotic. Smoke covered the desert. Visibility became very low. Rylan's tank moved through black smoke slowly, scanning for threats. His crew reported enemy positions, damaged tanks, and movement paths. Even though Iron Shield was outnumbered, they stayed in formation, covering each other and hitting weak points. Every time an enemy tried to flank, the desert blocked their path. Every time they tried to surround Rylan's group, Iron Shield broke through. Hours passed. Then finally, the enemy began to pull back. Their tanks retreated one by one, then in groups. They realized the fight was lost. Rylan watched them shrink into the distance. The desert slowly grew quiet again. Only the sound of crackling fires and cooling metal remained. When the battle ended, Rylan stepped out of his tank. His uniform was covered in dust, sweat, and smoke, but he stood tall. His battalion, though small, had survived the impossible. They had defeated a massive army not by strength, but by strategy. His soldiers looked around at the destroyed enemy tanks and knew they had done something historic. News of the victory spread. Military experts from different countries studied the operation. New strategies and training programs were built because of that battle. But Rylan and his team didn't seek attention. They cleaned their tanks, repaired their equipment, and prepared for the next mission. Operation Iron Shield became a lesson for the world. A smart mind can defeat a stronger enemy. A small force can win a giant battle. And sometimes, the land itself becomes the greatest weapon.